All right, perfect. Check, check, check. All right. This is Q3 2022 um, stock valuation for Coca-Cola. This is a new position for us, so definitely wanted to um, not only go through the earnings calls, but also because the price has fallen below our 10% threshold, wanted to do a valuation for this company. I did not uh, do a bankruptcy check. Didn't really think that was necessary, especially after looking at the dividend coverage. I do want to talk about quickly some of the things that I did differently with this particular valuation than the others, and that is goodwill. The intangible trade licenses and the price paid over the value of those licenses from smaller competitors over the years was so great that I had to add it into our formula. Otherwise, the numbers just did not make any sense. With that being said, if I were to do, a bankruptcy type of scenario, I would definitely want to discount those trade licenses fairly heavily. Um, I will say that Coca-Cola is, a global brand, and it's definitely worth something. So having those licenses and trademarks in the formulas do make sense. But again, I would heavily discount if I were to do any sort of bankruptcy scenario for this company. All right, first things first. Cash, I think, is about right. It's currently 13,220. And again, keep in mind, this is third quarter, so there's only one more quarter to go. So I don't expect these numbers to move around very much at all, but I did just use the standard deviation to give me the 13.5. Currently, the cash position is 13.2, so don't expect that to move very much. Receivables have really kind of been all over the place, and I think that's going to be a consistent theme through these financials, is that it's been really up and down, save for a few categories. 3994 is where they are now, 3926, again, just based on the standard deviation. So typically receivables come down, cash goes up. So I don't see any problem there. Inventory. Looks like, again, inventory has been kind of steady, but again, plus or minus a few. And so what we did here was from 34 to the current 37, just decided to increase it from the 2021 34, which is just 34.91. That is a bit of a drop as far as inventory goes, meaning that the company will not produce as much and sell off what they currently have. And that will be a great thing for the bottom line. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but that's what we want to have happen here. All right. Other assets. These are primarily going to be other companies that Coca-Cola owns. And I want to talk about that just very quickly. I'll touch on this subject again, but Coca-Cola, many, many years ago, basically segregated their company between distributors, bottlers, and then I guess we'll call it executive management, right? So what Coca-Cola has done is they own Coca-Cola bottling companies all over the world, and they sell some of those bottling companies to other executive management companies in those countries. Same thing goes with distribution. They buy and sell these Coca-Cola distributors to and from each other. It's really strange, but it makes sense in the grand scheme of things. And so a lot of the other assets is going to come from that. Same thing with the equity investments as well. So again, a number that can really jump around at the whim of the company because, again, it's their company that they own. So they can kind of decide when to sell, when to buy from each other, kind of whenever they want to. Um, 2021, that number was about 3,000. It's currently at 32. So keeping with the statistics, we expect the number to jump just a bit, but I don't think that's going to be much of a difference. All right, property. Um, of course, this is, trucks, buildings, so forth. It has steadily increased, and so we expect that to continue. 24 is what it was in 2021. It's currently at 23. We're looking to end the year at 26. Um, Goodwill, I didn't do anything with this at all. And again, it's frustrating for me because again, we see a steady increase in the goodwill. And again, that is a lot to do with the fact that they're buying and selling these subsidiaries to and from each other. And so trying to get a handle on exactly what goes into that goodwill is anyone's guess. I poured through the 10Q and the 10K trying to figure it out, and it's just, again, it's all intangibles. They do their best to evaluate things, according to law. But at the end of the day, it's something that is very subjective as far as value goes. So again, just kind of going with the statistics here, we expect that number to increase to 21. It's currently at 19. Whether or not that happens, I don't know, but historically it has increased year over year. All right, tax is actually a big issue. And now this is what's sitting on the balance sheet. So um, this is going to be a little different, but basically they're currently in talks with the IRS that can drastically change their tax liability and or tax credits. And so that's going to be I think, a difference maker in the next maybe 6 months or so. But for right now, again, just kind of keeping everything where it is, not moving around too much. It was 21 in 2021. We expect that to drop just a bit. Um, and again, this is on the asset side. So this is going to be tax credits, right? So we expect those tax credits to drop because, like I said, they are looking at possibly having to pay a lot more tax due to some tax law changes. All right, investment. Again, this is going to be all of the equity investments that they have in other Coca-Cola companies. So they may own 20% of another distributor, 20% of another bottler, and this is, like I said, worldwide. And they're buying and selling these things, and anytime that they receive a gain from that sale, it gets listed here in the investments. But that is also the case when, let's say, a distributor in Brazil decides that, they want to, I don't know, let's say the bottler in Brazil loses money for whatever reason, right? That loss, that proportionate loss, is also going to be indicated here in the investment. So again, trying to figure out all the ins and outs is just, it's almost impossible just because you're dealing with so many different companies around the world. One of the few that they did discuss was in Russia, which, as we know, is having some issues there, but people still drink Coca-Cola there and they still have companies there. But that company is seeing a loss, which again is attributed here in the investment category. So 2021, they were sitting at 25. Again, this number's kind of been steady, but moving around just a little bit. So we don't expect that. We do expect it to drop. It's currently at 24, and we got 24, 5, 6, 8. Again, that can change very quickly. All right, looking now at the total assets, they are growing, and that's really good. That's what we want to see. Even though it's going, single digits, is still growing. So we expect that to continue. Currently, assets are sitting at 92, and even with the statistics, we expect it to get to 90. That is a huge jump. Not sure where that will come from, other than maybe the other assets, maybe property, not sure, but kind of what we're looking at. All right, liabilities, payables, nothing to really see there. Again, number jumps around quite a bit. Wanted to talk about the debt. So Coca-Cola has gotten rid of quite a bit of debt, which is great. Um, but again, keeping with the statistics, um, it still puts us at 50, currently at 47.6. Now, I really think that that debt is going to continue to come off just because they seem to be in this mode of getting rid of debt. So it's very possible that that number can come down from where it is now at 47. But again, keeping with the statistics, we have it at 50. Um, Taxes. Again, this is tax liability. Again, this is a number that I really think we can play with here because it's currently sitting at 43. Um, Keeping with the statistics, it gets us to right at 4,000. Um, I I think this number is going to increase from here and not decrease. Again, we only have 3 months left in the year. All right, so again, looking at the liabilities, they have increased, but not as much as the assets. Again, really great thing. Growing balance sheet, as we see, it grew by 1% from 19 to 2020, and it grew 17% from 2020 to 2021. Not sure what the percentage is based on our prediction here, but we see a net of 27 versus a current 24. Again, that 3,000, if we're going to have that happen, has to come from either a decrease in debt or it's got to be an increase in either other or maybe investment. The cash can definitely increase, but that's going to be a huge jump. And I think that will happen only if another subsidiary gets sold. Number of shares has stayed pretty consistent, less than 1% change over the years, but it has grown consistently. So we expect that to continue. Currently, number of shares is sitting at 43.29. It was 43.40 in 2021. So that gives us a prediction of 43.53. All right. The book price. This company does not trade close to book value, which I guess makes sense. It is a products company, does sell primarily to consumers, even though it is what many deem to be almost a consumer defensive or a commodity now, because Coca-Cola is just so prevalent, right? It's everywhere, but it is cyclical, and so most of the stock price is going to be made up of those future income streams. Historically, we see that the book price has been really about at the $5 range. It was down to $4.89 in 2019. I think that sort of number is going to continue to increase. If we do see an increase, holding with the statistics, that puts us at 6.1 versus the 6.3 that we have calculated here. It's very possible that, playing around with the number of shares will get us to that 6.1. No, not at all. So I don't see, again, share number, it's not going to move very much. Other than that, maybe the, um, maybe the book price, that's not the book price, but the net value of the balance sheet, maybe that comes down or increases even more. Not sure, but 6.32 is not out of the realm of possibility, but it seems a bit high compared to the historical numbers. Again, keeping with the statistics, it looks like it can definitely go to 6.1, 6.2. It just seems high. So anyway, currently the price is 58.78. That gives us a price to book of 9.3. That does immediately undervalue this company because we see the historical price to book is 11, 12, and 10. Currently it's 10.41 at our current price, which makes a lot of sense. If everything remains the same and the numbers go as predicted, that gives us a price to book of 9.3, which is historically low, meaning that this price can go much higher. That gives us a price of $65.33. Again, undervaluing the company by quite a bit. Also want to point out that this price to book is based on the highest price for the year. So in 2019, the highest the price got was 56, and then 60 and 59. Again, we only have 3 months left in the year, and this is a 1 year prediction. So this 65.33, the stock has already achieved that number. Okay, so this isn't really a prediction, more or less. It's just an affirmation that the math that we're using coincides with what's really going on, right? So 65.33, the price has been all the way up to 67. So again, there's nothing saying that it can't get back there again, but realistically speaking, we'll need to have this year done before we can begin to try to predict 2023. All right, income, profit loss statement. Again, numbers kind of all over the place. 41,594 is the income for the year. It's currently at roughly 33. I don't see that being a problem, honestly, because they're going to put about 11,000 more of income in the quarter, so it can definitely be higher than 41. But again, just keeping with the statistics, that's about right. Cost of goods. This number I think can be a bit higher. Because historically it's been, right at 40, 41%, with the exception of 2019. And based on our numbers, based on our prediction anyway, it's at 39%. So I think it can be a bit higher. Right now, cost of goods is 41% of income. We definitely like to see that number come down. Whether or not that'll actually happen, not sure, but I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. All right, payroll. We know that inflation has really affected payroll. And so, again, the number has really been all over the place. Right now, I have this number slightly up from where it is. And currently, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this. We're going to increase payroll to 13.5. Again, I think that really makes sense based on what's happening right now in the market. All right. Other costs. Again, really not much to see there. Just gonna keep it straight. I think it is important to note that currently it is 11, and we're looking at a prediction of 10.72. So I expect that to come down just a little bit. Interest was something that I had to do a lot of work on because, as you can see, the number is just up and down like crazy. We know that with rising interest rates, we expect companies to pay more interest on their debt. And as you can see, in 2021, their interest expense was $13.21, and currently it's sitting at $2.72. And so I really dug through the 10Q to try to figure out what's going on. And as far as I can tell, it's just them getting rid of debt, right? They've gotten rid of a lot of debt. And so I imagine that interest expense is going to come down. Also, in this number, is also their interest income. Okay. So, they do receive interest income through various means. They have, loans, that they loan out to some subsidiaries. They also have interest rate swaps and other um, securities in the market that they use to hedge their interest expense. So um, again, trying to keep with statistics here, that number can be anywhere from what 18 to 800. So I don't think that increasing this number makes a lot of sense. So reducing it still is not getting it to that 272 number. Hard to imagine that they're going to have, 600 million, I think more interest expense in just the next 3 months. It's hard to believe, but, you know, either we keep it at 800 or we keep it at 300. Not sure yet. Maybe we'll play around with that in a second. All right, the investment is another thing that I spent a lot of time looking at. Again, this is their income that they're getting from their other companies that they own interest in. Again, distributors, bottlers, so forth. In 2021, they received 3,000 in income. Okay, and as you can see, that number has gone up consistently over the last 3 years. Currently, that number is only 628. Only 628. And so the question then is, do we, um, I'm sorry, the number has dropped. I apologize. Wait a minute. Something's not right. My math is wrong. Oh no, I'm right. Okay. All right. So yeah, so the number has increased year over year, and currently, it's only at 600. So the question is why? Is it because the other subsidiaries have lost that much? Is it because they've gotten rid of some subsidiaries? Um, what's happening here? And the only thing I can come up with is that again, they don't disclose all of their subsidiaries' numbers. They only talk about a few. And there's no insight into really how those numbers were derived. Only that Russia lost X amount of dollars, lost X amount of dollars, right? And so I don't know what's going on, but that's a drastic drop. Maybe it's possible that all of this stuff gets recorded and accounted for in the fourth quarter. And maybe that's why, um, we'll see a big jump. Um, Now, what I did was I reduced this investment income by our standard deviation. Um, if I were to increase it, um, that gets us to 46. But like I said, $4,000 in equity investment income, hard to believe. But again, historically speaking, I think that's what we have to use here. All right. Taxes, I already talked about that a bit. I expect that number to increase quite a bit, actually. Currently at 1671, we expect it to move to 3050, if not higher. All right. Foreign exchange, again, kind of a number that's been all over the place. Um, their foreign exchange, and again, all this stuff is also having to do with derivatives and securities that they use to hedge their foreign exchange risk. Okay, but at the base of all this, right, is that they're making money worldwide. Okay, but for accounting purposes, they have to then translate their foreign currency into U.S. dollars for reporting purposes. Now, we know that the U.S. dollar has gained a lot of strength, right? And all of that has to do with inflation, meaning that it takes more foreign currency to purchase U.S. dollars. Now, it's important to note here that this is not necessarily happening in the real world, right? They're not actually, taking Japanese yen and transferring it to a U.S. bank. That does happen, but they're not doing it with all their Japanese yen. So this foreign exchange number, it's not a real number, but it is for purposes of the net income profit on the statement. And again, too, there are a lot of derivatives and securities and things of that nature baked into this number as well, and those are real losses and real gains in a lot of sense. We know that historically, that number has been an expense for the company, and currently right now it's at 2,000 versus the 600 that it was last year and 1,000 in 2020. That makes sense to me, just because we know the strength of the dollar. Now, what I did is I kept the prediction the same. I didn't increase it from where it is, only because statistically, I can't get it there. I'll have to, multiply this number by 3 in order to get it even close to where it is now. And it's just not a road I'm willing to go down. So instead of reducing it from the 22, I just left it the same. All right. Pension. This is, of course, their retirement plans, the benefit plans for their employees. We have seen a gain from this in 21 and currently a small gain in 22. Honestly, I understand the gain in 21. I'm not sure how they've booked this gain in 22, being that the market has been down so much. So my expectation is that they're going to continue to see a gain, but not as much as they currently have now, given that we only have 3 months left in the year. My concern is that a lot of the potential losses and expenses for the pension plan has not been recorded. It won't be recorded until the fourth quarter, but again, not a whole lot we can do about that unless we're going to forego statistics, basically. All right, so that gives us a profit of 93, which is actually down from 2021 of 98. Currently, they're sitting at 75. This number has been all over the place, minus 14, plus 26. So, if we end the year at 93, that'll be down from the 98. Can't do the math, but it's definitely less than 10%. So, definitely possible. All right. Earnings per share. This is simply profit divided by the number of shares. And so typically the way it's supposed to work is that any profit divided by number of shares is how much the stock price is supposed to move by. And so $2.16 is in line with what it has been historically over the last 3 years. And so I'm perfectly fine with that number. Now, based on the earnings per share here, we're looking at the price to earnings ratio. And again, historically, 27, 33, 26, currently sitting at 33 based on today's price. And so the lower this number goes, then the cheaper the stock is, right? And so we do see a small drop, again, based on our predictions. That gives us a price target of $65.10. Again, the stock price has already been $65 this year. But can it go back there? Yes, it can. Again, this undervalues the stock from where it is currently at $58. The other thing I think I talked about at the beginning of the video is the dividend coverage. 76% of the net profit is used to pay the dividend. 2019, it got up as high as 91% in 2020, 74% in 2021, and it's currently sitting at 76%. So again, no reason at all for the company to cut the dividend, decrease the dividend. If anything, we expect them to continue to increase the dividend. So I'm looking at 65 is the numbers that I got. And so I'm going to put my price target at $65 for 2022.